Hello and welcome to another commentary of Hyrule Total War. And I have finished up the Goma, so as I usually say, I'm very excited to show them today, and we'll be watching them battle the Kokiri. And I believe I'm going to go to a desert map, just so there's no bushes and stuff that'll obscure the Goma, because they're pretty small and hard to see in grass. So we're just going to go to the desert. Now, I'm a really big fan of the Goma. They're probably my favorite enemy from the entire series, and the Queen Goma was the first boss I ever faced as a kid, so she introduced me to the concept of a boss. So the Goma sort of have a special place in my heart. Plus, I'm also a big bug guy, so I really like bugs. But anyway, let's get this battle started, I suppose. Any people who've played my other Zelda games know that the Goma are a fairly powerful force in the Zelda universe, so they've always been in league with the primary antagonists, and they will be a very antagonistic force in this game too. But now you finally get to play as them, which is awesome. Alright, so I will show their units one by one as I have done with the other races. First up, we have the Goma larva, which first appeared in Ocarina of Time, and these are the newborn Goma. They're very weak, and they aren't very useful, except as cannon fodder, pretty much. So, that's about all I have to say about them. Next up, we have the Goma juveniles, which are basically the larvae that have grown a little older, and they have these little claws on them that they use to attack, so still pretty weak, like most of the Goma units, but they're stronger than the larva. And next we have the Goma adolescents, which are the fully grown larvae. They have big claws, and they're able to grab rocks and stuff and throw them, so they also double as their basic ranged unit too. So they're useful. Let's see what we have next. The royal larva. Now these guys they're able to dig in the ground, as you see there. I'll get them to come back up again. Yeah, they dig themselves in the ground, and when enemies walk over them, they basically just grab their legs and come out and tear them apart. So they're a really good ambush unit, and they're also pretty good at assassination. Since they're so small, you can just kind of sneak them behind enemy lines. And then next we have the Goma Queens. These are the egg layers, and since they have powerful minds, they are able to keep the Goma under control. So they're more of a support unit than combat unit, though they can actually hold up in a fight pretty well. And I like them a lot. They're very handy for keeping things in order. Next up we have the pincer Gomas, and these are inspired by the original Goma that appeared in the first Legend of Zelda, the crab one, whatever you want to call it. They count as cavalry, so they're pretty good at trampling enemies. And that's about all they're useful for, just trampling enemies. And next up we have the Goma Longlegs. These Goma are based on the one that was going to appear in Twilight Princess. If you see the old trailers of Twilight Princess, you can see one of these guys chasing Link through a cave, and I don't know why they took it out of the game, because it looked awesome, but they're in this game now, so they're a pretty good psychological unit. They can scare enemies really easily. And then here we have the Gomas that did appear in Twilight Princess, the Armagomas. These are they are siege units, so they're able to shoot fire out of their eyes like the Armagoma did in TP, and because they're really big, they're good at trampling enemies. So yeah, they're a pretty powerful unit, and I like to always have at least one of them in my army. Then right here we have the first of the Goma hero units, the Matriarch. She is the head Queen Goma, and she lays the most eggs. Like the other Armagoma, she's able to shoot fire out of her eye, and she's just an overall tough unit. She's very slow though. And here we have Sulcaris, the Fallen Sage, who was the main villain in the first Zelda game I made. And she once again is showing up in this game, and you can finally play as her. She is a manifestation of the Goma hive mind. Don't want to get too much into sci-fi, but the Goma are basically the hive mind organism. Then here we have Mido, who's actually a Kokiri, but those that have kept track of my Zelda storyline know that he was banished from the Kokiri and he pledged his service to the Goma, so now he's working for the Goma. And he's a very good assassin unit. He hides in the ground and basically pops up and kills people with his knives. He's fun to play with. So that is it for the Goma roster. I'll just put all my units in groups now so that they're a little easier to control, and I'll put them in formation. And I'm going to use strategy this time around. I've pretty much given up on blind charges after all my losses. So I'm going to have my ranged units in the middle to lure the enemy force down the middle. So I'm going to put my Armagomas in the back and my Goma Queens in the middle. They'll help keep my units from running away. And then I'm going to have my cavalry flank on the sides, so start up the battle. And I want Sulcaris near the front, since she's pretty tough. Probably just going to have her actually blindly charge while she keeps their forces at bay. I'll just use strategy with my other units. But anyway, it looks like the Kokiri are holding their ground and sending their archers out, so I'm going to have my cavalry come around the sides and basically have them circle around from behind. It looks like they're sending all their ranged units but keeping all their melee units back behind, so they're going to pelt me with fire arrows. I'll just have Sulcaris go slash through their army. There she goes. Ooh yeah, run through that enemy. I love Sulcaris. Yeah, she has no problem just slashing through hordes of enemies. She's already scared off their archers. She actually is vulnerable to arrows though, so you'll want to keep her away from enemy ranged units. So let's see how my main force is doing. Looks like my Armagomas are holding them at bay with their fire beams, or whatever you want to call them. Burning down all those Kokiri like nothing. Poor little Kokiris. So, looks like they intercepted my cavalry. So I'll have my cavalry run around and try to come around from behind again. And I'll do the same with the pincer Gomas that I have on the other side. So my Armagomas are doing a pretty good job holding them at bay with their fire beams. These Deku trees are providing good cover. I'm gonna Sulcaris start ripping them apart. Oh, all the trees are ganging up on her. Yeah, they might actually kill her. I'm gonna get her out of there. Oh, they got her. Now they're gonna start eating her. But she'll just reincarnate a few days later because Sulcaris is cool like that. So I'm gonna have my Armagomas focus their fire on those Deku trees while they kill off Sulcaris. And I'm gonna have my pincer Gomas come around in the back here and trample the Kokiri that are trying to run away and regroup. Yeah, these Kokiri are trying to run further back where they can regroup and mount another attack. It looks like my Goma Longlegs have done a good job keeping up with them, so I'll just have them eat all these Kokiri. I love the Goma so much. So let's go back to my main force and see what's going on. I think now that the Kokiri are kind of scattered, I'm probably just going to have my forces charge them. These Armagoma are tough, but I think the Kokiri numbers are too great for them to fight them all off, so I'm just going to have all my little larvae go charging into them. And my Goma Queens too. These Koroks aren't putting up that much of a fight. So yeah, let's burn down these Deku trees with my Armagomas. If I can get them to fire on them.